Well, it's been more than 20 years since the dramatic beating of Rodney King by Los Angeles police. The blurry video told a story, but was it the whole story? Now, in the age of ubiquitous recording devices, we're getting a clearer picture, including from South Carolina this week. A warning, some of the video you're about to see is graphic. After a high-speed chase, 4 Los Angeles police officers repeatedly beat a taxi driver, Rodney King. Despite video captured by a witness, all 4 officers were acquitted. That was 1991. Fast forward almost 25 years.
He gone, dog. Yeah, he gone. He gone. He gone.
Video told part of the story when 18-year-old Michael Brown was fatally shot in Ferguson, Missouri last summer. Surveillance shows Brown stealing cigarillos from a convenience store, then pushing the clerk. But there was no video to help sort through conflicting accounts of why Officer Darren Wilson shot Brown. No charges were filed.
I didn't show anything. I did nothing.
Police first approached Eric Garner of Staten Island for selling cigarettes last fall. After a brief standoff, he was wrestled to the ground.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Despite what appears to be excessive force, no charges against police. Same so far in the fatal shooting of a 12-year-old Cleveland boy last November who was holding a toy gun. But this week's shooting of 50-year-old Walter Scott in Charleston, South Carolina was a turning point.
He grabbed my taser.
After Officer Michael Slager claimed Scott grabbed his taser, a bystander came forward with this incredible video, showing Slager firing 8 shots as Scott flees, then appearing to plant something near his body. Slager is charged with murder. Sadly for the family of 19-year-old DJ Henry, there are no recordings of police officer Aaron Hess fatally shooting him through his windshield outside a nightclub in 2010, leaving that story untold, and police free men. You know, one of the things that really goes hand in hand with video that's equally as crucial, and that is the audio. And I had forgotten, back in 1991, there really wasn't any with Rodney King. That was somebody on a balcony quite a distance away. And then that whole story emerged that he had resisted arrest in the beginning. It looked like a case of brutalism to me. And this story in South Carolina was similar because right away police believed him when he said, the man took my taser, he took my taser, he took my taser. So that he set up his alibi almost instantaneously. And then when they could see from this video that he had his taser all along, or he dropped it and then picked it up and then moved it, I mean, it was just undeniable. But a crucial version of that was the audio. But by the same token, so was it in the Eric Garner case. That seemed clear through the audio as well as the video. And that one, to me, still remains a complete mystery as to why there was no charges.
It's a complete mystery as to why there were no charges with Eric Garner, but there's one big difference between the Eric Garner video and the Walter Scott video. And that is, with the Eric Garner video, we certainly see what appears to be excessive force, but there's no suggestion that the police set out to kill Eric Garner. In this particular case in South Carolina, this officer obviously was trying to kill Walter Scott as he was running away. And unfortunately, it may be that this is what it takes to bring a successful case against a police officer, because this is just so over the top. I can't think of anything like this that we've ever seen before, at least not on video.
See, I look at these things and I just cannot believe that these police officers are still working, that there haven't been charges brought against them.
Darren Wilson is off the job.
But in the Eric Garner case, the man saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. At that point, it seems to me you get a medical attention. You don't keep trying to restrain him. I think that the bigger problem here, and Callie, you and I talked about this earlier today on Boston Public Radio, is who's doing the investigations here? Are these police departments investigating themselves? Are these district attorneys who are close to those police departments? Are these really independent investigations, or are these people that are working together trying to investigate themselves? And to me, the Rodney King thing, I don't think there was any question. No matter how big Rodney King was, no matter how many times they said he resisted, they were beating him.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to view this in the context of the debates that we've had over body cameras for police officers.
Yeah.
I think if you look back over the past few years, there have been moments of extreme violence. I think of what happened in Connecticut a couple years ago, where there seems to be a response that you'd expect politicians to take, which isn't always there. In this case, I don't want to listen to anyone talk about how body cameras will be inconvenient, would cause all these issues that. We need to get past that because we need to have documentary evidence of what happens on these sorts of scenes. And there are a lot of forces that are trying to go in the opposite direction. In the state of Texas, there is a bill currently before the legislature that would make it a crime to film police officers in the line of duty from anywhere from within 25 feet or closer. That the media would be able to do that, but someone like the individual who took this video in South Carolina would be potentially committing a crime.
We won
by
a
doing
case
so.
here. A guy won a case here when he
Exactly.
was filming a police officer arresting
the
somebody.
current state of the law is very clear that you have the absolute right to film a police officer, but there are forces trying to go in the opposite direction.
And clearly, Officer Slager thought he was on such solid ground because at one point, as the guy who shot the video said, he turned and saw him shooting and just kept right on doing what he was doing. This is after Walter Scott was on the ground and dead at that point. And what about the other officer who appears to be cooperating with him at the same point? Something has to happen there. We have heard not a word about it. The thing about body cameras, and I think we're absolutely going to have to go in that direction, they can turn them on and off. So once again, we have a situation that the difference between the video of what was shot by the onlooker and from the dash cam is a matter of a couple of 100 yards and it's off, and people are already jumping on that saying, well, you don't know what happened there. You don't know what happened there. I'd like to think that the investigation, even without video, because you've shot a man in the back 6 times, would say to somebody, wait a minute, he was fleeing and he was shot in the back. Did this have to happen? So, obviously it takes video in this age and time to convince people that something's going on.
What about the issue of using that video over and over again? I know there was some really interesting reporting on it. CNN did this forensic analysis, but at some point, I was sitting in an airport yesterday, it became like wallpaper.
Too much.
Yes.
Too much. I thought, how many times do we need to see this poor man fall to his death? CNN was running it at one point over and over. I thought it was too much.
That's often the problem with these things. It's news. We absolutely had to see it. But to use it as wallpaper is just disrespectful and
It's funny because
offensive.
some things get shut off right away, like the people jumping out of the World Trade Center, but this...
But that's because somebody requested that. So somebody would have to say, stop using it.
The issue is that this video is incredibly shocking, and if you show it over and over again, it loses its shock value. But the fact that it's so shocking is why it needs to be seen.